Hey, it's Stacy. If you are enjoying Tell Me What It's Like, please take a moment to go into your podcast app and leave a rating and review. It helps other people who might like this show find it. Thanks for your support. This is Tell Me What It's Like, a show about uncommon experiences and the perspectives they shape. I'm Stacy Rain. Scott Martin always loved soccer. So much so that he grew up to become a soccer coach. His career was on the rise when 33 years ago, Scott became ill with strep. Usually people recover from a sore throat after a course of antibiotics, but that wasn't the case for Scott. The bacteria ended up taking his hands and parts of his feet, leaving him in a deep depression that he had to fight his way out of. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Stacy. It's very nice to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. So let's first talk about soccer. Why do you love it? Why did you become a coach? Tell me how that evolution began.
So I grew up in the 1970s and then stretching that into the 80s and such for my playing career. At 16, I had the opportunity to start playing with the men's side of our club. And so I learned early on how to get my butt kicked and how to come back from there. So, it's sink or swim at 16 playing with men in their 20s and 30s and stuff. So, but back then we had the North American Soccer League. Pelé came over, Beckenbauer, Johan Cruyff, George Best came over. So it was to glom on and watch some of these guys play and aspire to that. But playing in the club system back at that time, there was no feeder program to get up to the professionals. So we really had a dead end, but the best was to go into the college route. So I ended up doing that to stretch out my career and then to continue playing after college as well. So pulling it in, I guess, to talk about the game itself, to me, it's artistic. It's if people could think of a Jackson Pollock painting, it was an artist, drip painting artist who was famous for back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
That's how I see the game, Stacy. If you were to put colors into a soccer ball, and every time a certain player touched the ball, it would leave a color on the field. And then if you were to fly above that field and look down, I think that you would see a Jackson Pollock painting. Painting. That's how I see the game. Yeah. And that's the artistic side of me, that the game to me is more artistic than it is just watching, for example, American football, baseball, or basketball with how things are done. But there's really an art involved holistically with all the players, tactics, and then technically with each one of the individual players. So blending all of that, and then like I do with our training sessions, bring music into it. It's really an experience that I lay out for our players as they're learning the game and then playing the game. So to me, there's so many levels to it, so many levels to soccer that it brought me in. And then as I grew up and started playing at that higher level, I stopped playing American football, baseball, and basketball and just focused on soccer. It really pulled me in, the artistic side.
That part was really interesting when I was reading up about your approach. You said soccer is much like the blues, rock, soul, reggae, and disco music that I play. I was like, oh, I don't know that I've ever heard soccer described that way. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with soccer. That was not a sport that I played, but that was interesting. So I want to hear why you describe it that way a little bit more with music.
We actually, in the book, Stace, there are probably 15, 16 songs that are mentioned, especially towards the second end when I'm working with the soccer rats and the kids and we start talking about and describing our training sessions and stuff. So throughout the book, we drop songs like I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty, something Night Train by Tab Benoit. Even today, I have a big JVC boombox that I take out we just had training a couple of nights ago and we were playing tunes during the training session there. So I like to bring it in because it's not for the players to listen to. It's for me to use as a metronome to get them to play like, again, blues, rock, jazz, reggae, disco, anything that has emotion attached to it, because it goes back to my belief in the game that it is a beautiful game and the emotions that are tied to it and can be projected through music. And that's how I want our players to play and been very successful in bringing them to do it.
And to back up, so you have a new book just came out yesterday, and it's called Play From Your Heart. And it's about you coming back to soccer. So you ended up getting an illness that's fairly common back in 1993, I believe. And it ended up not being common for you.
Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets, in I think it was 1990, people remember back, he became very sick very quickly and passed away. Well, he had the same thing I had, group A strep with necrotizing fasciitis. Necrotizing fasciitis is what happens to the skin. So the big thing was, especially at that time, the media loved to call it, they just put the tag of the flesh-eating disease on it because of what happens as the skin dies and then the muscles die, starting with the extremities inward first. It's very rapid. With me, the only reason why I was alive was because I was a top athlete and I was in great shape.
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering, because it can be life-threatening when it gets, when it is what happened to you. That can,
all the organs shut down. And this is an area where my brain does not allow me to go back, because I ended up, the last thing I remember at one point was my stepfather taking me to the hospital. That's the last thing I remember. And backing out of the driveway and looking at my mother, who was freaked out watching me go. I woke up a month later.
Wow.
So there is an area in here I do not remember anything at all. And I think my brain is just saying, we're not going to let you go there. Yeah. A month later, to wake up, couldn't move, and found that I couldn't move because I had lost 40 pounds, mainly in muscle, through atrophy.
And you were a star soccer coach. So you were in good shape. You had already won championships at this point.
Yeah. So at that time, I just completed my first year coaching at the college level. We were nationally ranked, and everything was on an upward trajectory. And actually, I started feeling poorly. Nike had invited me to one of their regional camps. There were national team players there, coaches from around the country. And I think the top 100 high school players from the Midwest. I mean, it was perfect for me. Coaching in the Midwest at the college level, being asked to come down and speak at this Nike camp. And that's where I started feeling poorly.
When you say feeling poorly, what were you feeling? Did you have the sore throat? What was going on?
No, it was, the thing with me was fatigue. I mean, as a player, I never, ever pull myself out of a match. And there was an exhibition match. So we had national team players there and other coaches, and we're asked to play in an exhibition at the Nike complex. I had to pull myself out because I didn't know what was going on. I was just dragging. Yeah. And I spent that night either throwing up profusely in the bathroom or shivering like crazy or sweating like crazy in my dorm room. And that's where, that was the point where, something's wrong here. I had never gone through that.
So off to the ER, and then a month goes by and you wake up.
Yeah.
And what can you tell me about waking up? Like, I know you've blocked out a lot, but what do you remember about those moments?
First of all, some great people that basically kept me alive that I learned. But when the head of the ICU, intensive care unit, came in and started talking to me, it was things that were going over my head. You know, I couldn't move, so I was wondering, am I paralyzed? And it was a bit before we got into that. But then he started dropping the bombs of, he used the term flesh-eating disease. Now I know what's going on. And then the word amputations came up. Not singular amputation, amputations. And being told that in order to save my life, later I learned that my mother and one of my brothers had to make the decision. Either let me go. I mean, I was supposed to be dead by that time. Or doing the amputations of both of my hands and parts of both of my feet. They could stop it from progressing as things were dying. So they did the amputations. And the first thing that ran through my mind, Stacey, was, I'm done playing. I'm done. And then it was, and I will admit to this, and I'm very open and honest in the book, because I think that's the only way to write something like this, is very honestly inside of me, because that's the point where I screwed up on, and I never touched and I never went there after learning all of this. I skipped past it. I didn't want to hear it. I went straight to not wanting to know what was going on and to denying anything
What
that
do you
was going
mean?
on.
What
Well,
do you
I
mean?
didn't, to me, this was in August. I'd missed the Europe trip. My summers are usually between my playing seasons. We had an opening where I would go to Europe and I would coach over there. And this year I had with a soccer buddy of mine out of Ohio, we had hand selected college players from across the country to go play in the 3 major tournaments in Europe. So when I learned how long I was in the coma, I knew that I missed Europe. And the next thing in my mind was, well, my players are showing up in a couple of weeks for preseason training. And my attitude, oh God, Stace, it was stupid. It was a male ego thing, I believe was, it was basically, okay, well, slap me in a wheelchair and let me go to work. I
Oh,
went right past. I didn't look at the emotional side. I didn't look at the physical side. How the heck was I going to do this?
yeah.
It was foolish. And I know it's more of a male thing. And
Oh,
I get into it in the book how I know it's more of a male thing.
mm-hmm.
But it was, I want to go back to work. And that was my way of deflecting, not addressing what the real problems were. I had 4 more months of rehab coming up. So
Mm-hmm.
I missed our season. Well, I did some coaching from a wheelchair. We did it by videotape and these other things, but that was me avoiding it,
When you look back, what do you wish you would have done?
faced it more
How would you,
directly.
what would
How
that
would I
look
do
like?
it?
Yeah.
Probably cry.
Mm.
Okay.
So you never even mourned this. I mean, it was a huge
Nope.
life change. You, okay.
Huge.
You were
Yeah.
just like, I'm pressing forward. To me, it seems like, okay, that makes sense. If that feels like acceptance in a way, like I'm going to keep doing what I do, but you don't feel like that's what you did.
Mm-mm. No, it was. So the first thing that I glommed onto, Stacy, was, oh, I lost 40 pounds of muscle. That's why I can't move. All right. Start feeding me protein. I'm going to start getting to work. And I started doing exercises from the bed. It was an inch at a time. I mean, literally, ooh, I moved an inch. That was an
Mm-hmm.
accomplishment. So I used that. It was like, it was training for me.
Yeah.
It was the focus. But it was, to me, not having to look at what was to come, what
Okay.
was ahead of me. I didn't face
Mm-hmm.
it. It was, let's get those 40 pounds back and let's get me up and doing something. But as I write in the book, when I was fitted for using hooks, that was a time where I had to face something and I did not want to do that at all. Not at all.
Okay.
There was another, deflection. I don't want to deal with it. Had to deal
Can
with
you
it for a bit.
can you tell me about that moment of,
Mm.
okay, someone tells you it's time to fit these prosthetics?
Not being in any control.
Mm-hmm.
This was still at the time when I had to be fed. Oh, I hated that.
Oh, okay.
When you lose your own self-worth or your own ability to manage things for yourself, your individuality, that's when you have to start reflecting on and dealing with this. And that's what I did not want to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
To me, when I had to start wearing the hooks, I was never out of the hospital with them. To me, it was, here is my disability right smack dab in front of me, these
Mm-hmm.
hooks. I don't wear hooks now. I use what's called myoelectric hands.
Oh, okay.
They're not as, they don't remind me or make me think I'm disabled as much because I've learned how to deal with them so
Mm-hmm.
well. But the hooks would have. So there was something in my brain that was, I'm not going to use them. I don't care what you tell me. I can't deal with this. And luckily, Stacy, and opening honestly, the myos came in before I ended up leaving the hospital. So that
Gotcha.
gave me something a little bit more inducing to me moving forward with. I believe that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's giving you more of a sense of your independence back, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I don't know if it's just a male thing or a human thing, but the loss of independence was
Yeah.
huge. Oh,
I would
yeah.
imagine I would imagine it's a human thing, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine how disorienting it must have been
Hmm.
to wake up it's been a month, you realize, wait a second, it's been a month. And then for someone to tell you, okay, well, you've lost your hands and parts of your feet, and you're an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, this must
that.
have. You didn't feel that way though, because you said, "All right, let's get the protein, let's pack the pounds, let's move forward."
Yeah.
But and I'm guessing to everyone around you that looked like, okay, he's moving forward, but you feel like it was not the way to handle it.
I was faking it. I was faking being I was doing a pretty darn good job of faking me being me. But, and this is not to blame anyone, Stace, everyone else avoided it too. We never talked about it. It was always about progression.
Yeah.
We never went backwards. I saw a psychologist. I saw two psychologists together once, and that was to conduct an IQ test. That was it. I'm not blaming anyone. That should have been part of the package.
Yeah.
With preparing. Yeah.
It should have been like standard treatment. Let's make sure that we're.
But it still came down to me, and I will take the blame on this. When I was released, I didn't go down that path to properly heal. For me, it was get back, work, focus, keep winning. And that was it.
So you do go back to work. And what happens when you leave the hospital? Were you in the hospital for those 4 months of therapy and learning how to use your prosthetic hands and
I hope you're okay with this, but I'll just do it anyway. There's a chapter in the book titled Scared Shitless. And that's what I was. I was scared shitless, folks. I don't know. Here I am in public and conducting interviews and things and trying to lead this successful college program and trying to recruit players. My recruiting was the first thing that probably went out the window because I lost my confidence. Well, if I don't have my confidence, how am I going to get someone to kind of sell them on the program of coming to our university for 4 years? That's what ended up. So we started my first year back. We hit a high level of ranked number 7 in the country. I mean, and my objective was win a national championship my first year back. Not bad, but I was faking it. And I also did something, and all of this is mentioned in the book, how, looking back, I put us on a little bit too difficult of a schedule towards the end. I should have made it easier so we would get invited to the national tournament and then would have a chance to win a national championship. I didn't do that. Yeah, there were so many things I could look back on that I made a mistake of, but I ended up still coaching for 4 more years, and we were still nationally ranked, but we started sliding. And at a certain point, I said, this isn't good for the program. I went and spoke with my athletic director and said, I can't do this anymore. And I resigned. So that was we're talking about pivot points, man. There's so many pivot points throughout this story. It's amazing looking back.
Were you, when you resigned, was this the point where you thought I need to deal with this, or what really led you to resign? I know you said that you felt like the team was slipping, but were you thinking it's because of me?
Yeah.
What was happening?
That's because of me. This is where guilt really came into play. You got the 5 stages of grief by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And in the book, I bring up very honestly, I think there should be 3 more: fear, guilt, and shame. I experienced all of those. Those are part of that package, that backpack, that huge suitcase that I was carrying around for the 4 years after I left until I resigned.
Yeah.
Those are I ran smack dab into the brick wall of depression. That's what happened. 2 months after I resigned, Stace, we had the $10 million medical malpractice trial, going back to when I was when I first went to emergency room. Then even with a temperature of 102.8, they didn't test my blood. So the court trial was all about, if he would have, they would have found this and things could have been different. And their side, of course, was it wouldn't have mattered. They won, I lost. So here I was, zip, nada, nothing.
Yeah.
And that's where it was the big pivot point. So I'll just mention a little something here, Stace, so people get a better idea of what the heck I was going through. As soon as we got I got the call from my attorney that we lost, I was at a friend's apartment and I drove back to my apartment. And as I pulled in, I thought, as the garage door is going down, I thought there wouldn't be anyone. A lot of people would not be surprised if I didn't turn my car off or if I went out and bought a pistol, because I have nothing. But instead, I used that as the pivot point for me to change things. And I did. From that point on, that's where it becomes an uplifting story. So at this point, one of the songs I mentioned about, I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty was the perfect song at this point that I used because I had solved some problems to go on food stamps and have nothing. Stay at a crappy apartment. I started working for free out in Olympia, Washington. I mean, total change.
From Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, from Wisconsin out there working for nothing. And I was happy with it because I was finally going to do something about it.
Yeah. So was it in the car where you realized I need to change something? Was it that moment?
Oh, it was when I was in the car pulling into the garage after losing the trial. It was at that point where
you could go right or you can go left.
Yep, exactly. Straight right or a straight left. There was only two directions to go. And I wasn't going to go on the other one. Yeah. So I was going to go do what I needed to do.
Right. How did you, so you realize, okay, this is the turning point. What were the circumstances that led you to Washington, that led you to taking on this volunteer job, and that made you feel this is what's going to get me back on the right path? What was that?
In the meantime, I did have a couple of interviews out on the East Coast. And in one of those, this is only one of the examples of discrimination. So I went from a white guy in athletics that you just had to win in order to be successful to all of a sudden doing a 180 and being viewed by people and myself as, disabled, can't do it. Can't do it. So when I was out on the East Coast, I had an interview, and as I left an interview, I was down the hallway. I heard the athletic director yell across the hall, I guess, to his secretary, "Why did I just interview a guy with no hands for this position?"
You heard somebody say that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a thing. People aren't going to say they're being discriminatory, but I know it. I've been passed up for so many things with my resume that I should not be passed up for. I know what happens. I know it darn well. They don't think. I think it's something about male mortality, Stacey.
Yeah.
I think that sincerely. I've never shaken the hand of an opposing female coach that treats me any different. But the males, sometimes I could tell, they think, "Oh, I got this guy now." Like, no, you don't.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So you started noticing, I actually have to go back to the moment though, actually, where you heard someone say that. Just hearing you say it feels crushing to me. Yeah. How did it feel to you?
Pissed me off, which was a good thing.
Oh.
And that's when I think I knew that the other option all the way on the other coast for working for free was the thing for me. Because he knew about it. He liked whatever. I had, when I was in the hospital when I got the myos, one of the first things I did, Stacey, was I knew I needed to change what I was going to do with the program. So I got a pen or a pencil and I asked for some paper. I started writing a coaching manual. I titled it Soccer Atlas, Where Are We Going and How Are We Going to Get There? So I sent this to John Wedge, who was the head coach at Evergreen State College in Olympia. And so he knew, and I sent him some articles on, everybody knew this, about what happened to me. I let him know about it firsthand. But Wedgie, John Wedge, he knew about it, and he wanted to talk with me. And he liked how I used mathematics in my coaching and how I look at the midfield and things in that order. So Wedge wanted me. He didn't have any money to pay me, but it was at least it's somebody that wants me.
I like how you look at things, and I don't know anything about soccer, but it sounds really fascinating that you think about it as a Jackson Pollock painting and music and mathematics. That's really cool.
It is. It does come down to it, yeah.
You took a break from coaching, though. At what point did this happen? Because I was thinking when I originally heard your story that you woke up, you realized this happened, you're like, I'm not coaching, but you went back to coaching. I know you feel like it maybe you shouldn't have pressed forward so quickly without accepting where you were, but
what my deal with John Wedge was that he was a well-known coach on the West Coast, at the college level. So my deal with him was, okay, I'll come out and work for you for free. I worked from the tactical side on things. And it was for him to, whatever he could to try to get me in with another university, at least paid position or whatever, because my objective was to win a national championship at Division I level. So he got me in at Gonzaga. The head coach was leaving, and then I would come in as his assistant, and then he was leaving in the middle of summer, and then they would be forced to name me as the interim head coach. Well, at the same time, they hired a new athletic director who didn't know about this deal. So I came in, and I ended up coaching a year as an assistant for someone that only had a little bit of experience. I had a lot more experience than this person, but it was an easy thing for that athletic director to do. So at the end of the year, they were going to be hiring for the new head coaching position, and the athletic director came to me and said, hey, I want you to apply for this. But in the meantime, I had become married and watched, when I was back home in the Seattle area, watched the news program of this couple out of Seattle area that had adopted 2 kids from Haiti after a disaster there. And I swear, Stacey, within 10 minutes, I was up studying about adoption. And the next morning I called, and I'm glad he didn't answer the phone. I ended up leaving a message for the athletic director, please remove my name from consideration. I'm going to do something different. Because if he would have answered the phone, I would have had to explain what I was doing. He probably would have thought I was crazy. So for 20 years, I became the father of 5 adopted kids, 2 from Romania and 3 from Ethiopia. And it was fantastic. It was total switch, right?
Yeah. Something just,
I was pulled into it. I cannot explain this because I've been asked about this before. How'd that happen? I have no idea. It just happened. I have no explanation for why it happened, but I started going in that direction. And for 20 years, every once in a while, like I was on the board of directors for one of the clubs or something where my kids happened to play a little bit. None of them really got into the game, especially as deep as I did. Yeah. So I was really away from the game, working with it directly for 20 years, but I still studied it and I still watched it. Okay. And I was ready. And then I had an opportunity to come back when my youngest was deep into high school. So I took that. But that's where discrimination came up again.
Again. Okay.
Again.
So tell me about that opportunity.
So it was a pretty big club. This is one of these clubs, it was in Washington State, where parents pay thousands of dollars for their kid to play with the objective of their kid going off and maybe getting a college scholarship or who knows. Through this club, there were a couple of national team players that worked through the club and stuff. So I was asked to come in, but when I showed up, even with my resume, I was told, oh boy. And this guy never even shook my hand. Say he knew about me and stuff, but I was given a C team, not A or B team. I was given a C team of 12-year-olds, so U13s. And I was told, keep the parents happy because they need the money to help keep the club afloat.
Oh.
But I saw something different. The coaches from the other 2 teams, they left me with, my kids were smaller, and during drills for tryouts, because I attended them, they didn't do so well because I think they lacked confidence. And if you lack confidence, you're not going to perform well. So therefore, it doesn't come across the same way because they did drills. And I don't believe in drills in my coaching anyway. So, but when I got my hands on them, so to speak, no pun intended at all, either way, I realized that these kids needed to work on their confidence. So did I.
Huh. Okay.
So we worked together, and the summer was tournaments. So we played in the first tournament and we made it out of our group. And the second tournament, we made it, I think, to the quarterfinal. The third tournament, we made it to the semifinal. Tournaments 4 and 5, we lost in the final. So, but you know that if someone is lacking confidence, they're not going to play as well. They're not going to be successful. So I knew what we had done during the summer, prepared these kids for an 18-match state league season that was coming up in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, all of that, and then into the state league season, what the second half of the book is about. It's kind of Disney-esque. That's how I've heard it described on what happens with these kids. It's pretty cool.
You spend 20 years away from the game. Now you said you still studied it and you come back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dig into what it was like to come back. I know that you were excited to show these kids confidence. I can see your sort of coaching come in, your coaching intellect. But what was it like for you to step back into that role?
Oh, I needed it. I needed it. I guess you look at it as, like a concert pianist that had been forced to be away from the piano for a while. Yeah. So it was natural, but I also knew it wasn't just me. I was working with these kids, and it's tricky working with kids. So one of the mantras I always followed, Stace, was my mission is not to teach you, but to put you in a position to learn, which is very different from traditional coaching.
Tell me what
it's
you mean.
put him in position. So it's not, like I mentioned earlier, I don't do drills. By that level, those kids should already have been playing and learning how to do technical and dance with the ball and make it do funky things. So we started from there and working on their confidence and how they play together, and starting with small groups and working it up so it's 11 versus 11. And through all of that, and I'll jump to the end a little bit, those kids ended up learning how to play 6 different systems. A lot of kids at 12 years old don't even know what a system is, but they learn how to play 6 different systems. And by doing that, okay, well, it's different. Who plays what and who does what according to what, how the game. Yeah, there's a lot to it. All right, I'll shut up and I won't go there. There's a lot to it. But here these kids
my soccer ignorance. But I really am loving your descriptions of soccer. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I need to watch more soccer. I love art. I'm very big into art. I mean, hearing you describe soccer in these ways feels like an art into itself. Honestly, this is really cool. I know you describe in the book the moment that you're talking to this new team and you're thinking, okay, because they don't know you, these kids, they haven't grown up with you. You're thinking, I need to address the elephant in the room, which for you is your hands. Okay. Yeah. So can you take me back to that moment?
I've spoken with kids that I've worked with since, and even a couple of those kids, where their first thought of me when they notice my disability, I mean, I have a strange disability, is that they think less of me. They're honest. They think less of me because they're honest about it. I have had players that have written papers later as they get to know me and they come to understand that doesn't really define me. And they understand disability should not define anyone.
Right.
And then they end up understanding it more. And that's how I was viewed.
Are they thinking about it in the sport context, like the physicality of it?
Oh, sure. How is this guy going to tell me what, how can this guy, they label me, understandable. I'm labeled as non-athlete for sure. And they don't understand. And there's always questions. I'm working with under 19s right now that they've come around to understand, oh, this guy does know what the heck he's talking about. There is that time. There's that period that it has to come in. And I just have to stay focused on just being myself. And then they will come around. Because my way of doing this, my mission is not to teach you, but to put you in a position to learn, is so different. It takes longer. But when they get it, it is locked in.
Yeah.
And confidence is developed, and ability, and that artistic view of the game, and how to play with each other systematically, but without systems at the same time, which sounds kind of crazy, but that's what we do. So to play creatively, and it ends up leading to being successful.
Your approach is without having different. A fundamental knowledge of soccer. I mean, I know other sports, but not necessarily. I only know a little bit of soccer, but I really love hearing you describe it.
Good,
so
thanks.
in the moment when you address this with the kids and you say, look, I have a disability, what was the conversation there?
I didn't get too deep into the emotional side at all. It's just more of skipping through it and basically trying to sell them, get them to buy into what we were going to do. So it's just, yes, this is what I have because of, and not to stay on that for very long at all. You're going to find it different, guys, but stay with it. Trust me. Yeah. Trust me. And that's where I have to come across as being very confident myself. Not arrogant, but just confident. Look them straight in the eye and I say, trust me. I know what I'm doing. We're going to get there together. And it's to pull them in too. It's a buy-in to get them to buy into what I'm selling.
Was it hard for you to look? I mean, I know you said you had to build your own confidence. So did you feel like it was tough in the moment to seem confident?
In raising my kids and also with time.
Yeah.
I had grown some more. Since then, though, right now, I am a totally different than I was. I'm finally back to being who I was before the illness. A cocky guy that works his ass off and enjoys others.
Yeah.
And the experiences and challenges.
Yeah, because you've said suddenly you were a person with a disability that people could visibly see and you were treated differently.
Yes.
And so you had, the crappy part is the work was on you to deal with it and to deal with it when people say things like, why did I interview him? Which are terrible. You had to figure that out. And so did you feel like over time you just got confident in spite of everyone else?
Life experiences, age, being around many blocks many times. I mean, I'm a very active substitute teacher at our local high school. I'm in all the time. And the kids all know me. But at the beginning of the year, Stacey, because it's sophomores through seniors at SPASH, Stevens Point Area Senior High School. So when I've got a group of sophomores early in the year, I just talk right away about, here it is. This is my disability, blah, 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 blah. I give them I have this down to like a 3-minute deal. And so as the year goes on, it's like, hey, Mr. Martin, I wasn't comfortable asking you this before, but what about this? Or what about that? And they know about the book because actually when my publisher sent me, we had 3 different options for the cover. For a couple of days, I'd call kids over to my computer and say, hey, come here, tell me what you think. So
nice.
They know about the book and I still get, hey, Mr. Martin, how's it going with the book? Oh, it's dropping on Tuesday. And it's like, what are you working on? I was like, well, right now I'm working on a screenplay. So we've got to work. The screenplay is actually done. Now I'm pitching to producers. So we've got this now going and those kids are involved in it. My players know about it. So I'm just being open and honest. I do not BS any kids. And that's one of the things I've learned since I came back to teaching and to coaching as well, that there was a gap in those 20 years, something happened. And I think that parents and administrators or whoever is not trusting the kids to be responsible on their own. They're trying to do everything and make everything so easy for them. I found that they react very well to being pushed. Even as a sub, it's, you have a responsibility to get this done.
Yeah.
So get it done, and then we move on to other things. So very straightforward, and it works. In the classroom, it works on the soccer field. Let's be honest about everything, folks. And, it'd be nice if we had a little bit more of that in the world today, too.
Right. Yeah, agree. So you end up taking this team all the way to the state championships. I need to know what that moment was like.
Oh, I mean, it really encapsulates my story as well as those kids, because I think it surprised them because they developed over the summer in those tournaments. And after the final tournament, and we lost again in a final, I had to meet with each one of those kids individually and their parents. And I asked each one, how did that feel? At every single time in different forms, they were all mad. they were just, we're not doing that again. We're done with that. So I knew that they were no longer lacking confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They were ready. They were ready to move. And after we tied our first match in the last 4 seconds of a match, oh yeah, that's in the story too.
Yeah.
We had 17 more matches to go and went undefeated. And it just every time it was overcoming. And at the same time, Stacy, and this comes at the antagonist in this story too, is that director of coaching that didn't shake my hand. He never did.
Mm.
He kept, throughout the story, we dropped little nuggets about how he didn't believe in, they're only sea level. Be careful what you're doing. And when we get down to the final match, here's the Disney-esque part at the ending here, Stacy, is the team that was ahead of us in the standings. The only loss they had was to us, but we had 2 ties. They were ahead of us by a point. All they had to do was tie us. And the last match of the season is amazing. Last match, right?
On the edge of my seat.
Yeah, there you go. And it did come down to it. I write it out. There's not too much soccer in this, Stacy. I think anyone could sit and read it and understand, the comebacks and things about these kids developing. And it came down to that final match where we had to win, and all they needed was a tie. And I think they made a mistake, but not going for the tie. But we went for the win, and we did it. And those kids, I mean, I ended up not being asked to come back. Nothing was said to me. I ended up saying, to heck with this. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm back in Wisconsin now. Oh. And so I don't know what happened. Those kids are now 20, 21 years old. I don't know what happened in any of their careers. Hopefully they're in college, they're doing whatever. And they're young adults growing up and understanding some things. But I hope that they, that was a taste of something that maybe catapulted them forward, becoming good adults, good people, and overcoming lack of confidence and a belief in themselves.
Yeah. They were kids that were literally on the C team. Yeah. And
nothing was supposed to happen.
Nobody thought they could do it.
No.
And they did. Mm-hmm. Does that feel like a metaphor for what you've been through? Like
exactly.
Everybody underestimated you.
Exactly.
Look what you were able to do.
I mean, I came back to Wisconsin and started working with a group of 14-year-olds. And by the time they were all 16, so we worked together for a couple of years, we won a state championship here. Mm-hmm. Some of them went on to play college soccer, and they just finished up their sophomore year in college. And I run into them every once in a while. I hear about them, how, a couple of them might have dropped out of college, but they're doing something else. And some of them are changing. They've changed their majors in college and they're doing something. And now the guys that I'm working with, some of them just graduated from high school, and what are they going to do? And, talking with some of them that are younger, that are playing up a couple of years, what are they going to do? And what are we going to do together? And all of these things going on. So it's been a great, amazing experience. And having to write the book and now having, written the screenplay, see if we can get this in theaters. It's been quite the experience, and I'm just going with it.
Yeah, it sounds like an experience. And what a story, and what a journey. I'm sure that you have plenty of sort of life lessons and a lot of perspective from going from somebody who was one thing when he went to the hospital that day to waking up with a disability that people started treating you differently because of.
Yeah.
I want to close on the title of your book, Play From Your Heart. And I want to hear a little bit about why you titled your book, Play From Your Heart.
I started coaching when I was a freshman in college. And even back then, I would talk to players about turn off your brain and play from your heart, because that goes to the artistic side that you like so much. About if a player's thinking about things, they're going to make mistakes. And the game flows so fast and so freely, and I want them to play freely, that you really can't be thinking while you're playing. That builds up. There has to be a certain level of ability individually too. But by just going with Play From Your Heart as the title, it's easy. And no one's done that title on a book, which is surprising. But it fits. It fits with my story. It fits with those soccer rats. It fits with the disabled community. It's fitting with, especially we're leading up to the World Cup, about the positivity that's coming. We're all going to be building up. Hopefully our U.S. men's national team in this World Cup are going to be, finally, well, they're to that point too. For years, they've been told as the golden boys, the golden generation. And here they are. They have a chance to prove it. Will that happen and help this country? This country really needs something to lean on and to be happy about and to talk about in bars about, did you watch the men yesterday or something? I hope that happens. Maybe it could be, did you read that book? I know it's pretty amazing. We could use some of that. And I hope some of that comes out from it too.
Do you feel like in your journey that you relied on this? Because you were talking about this before your illness, about playing from your heart. Do you feel like this was something that you really had to rely on?
Wow, that's great. It's just something that was always in me. And I think, waking up and all of this stuff and denying everything and losing my own confidence, I did lose sight of that. And I think with my kids and then coming back to the game as I did and me being spurred on and working with those 12-year-olds, I think that's, boy, you really touch on something. I think that really hits home with it. Again, it covers the story. And here we go. I have returned to, and I stated this earlier about becoming myself, I have returned to believing in play from your heart. Yeah. That as long as we care, if we care and we work, and we believe and we help each other, all of that boils down into the same thing the message that I hope people pick up on. I hope they find the book thought-provoking, entertaining and happy. But gosh, you gave me something to think about, Stacey. I think you got something.
And I think people will find the book inspiring. So
hope so.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Stace. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much to Scott Martin for joining me on Tell Me What It's Like to talk about coming back to the game and his new memoir, which is out now. Be sure to follow the show in your favorite app so you don't miss an episode. If you love this show, please leave a rating and review. I'm Stacey Rain. Thanks for listening.